CID Bryce Odro says his dismissal was politically motivated.
Police invite leaders of the Kumasi Youth Association who locked up officers of the Daily Guide newspaper.
Also, President Akufo-Addo launches new addressing system to stop the use of landmarks to give directions and property locations in Ghana.
And in business this evening, Bank of Ghana gives rural and community banks up to the end of December to raise minimum capital to 1 million cedis.
And in sports this evening, Ghana beat Niger 2-0 to reach quarterfinals in ongoing Under-17 FIFA World Cup in India.
And on the foreign front, a member of Kenya's Electoral Commission resigns just a week before the presidential revolt.
We've got the details of these stories for you here on News 360, including news from the world of sports and entertainment. We're streaming live all across the world on 3news.com and TV3 Ghana on Facebook. And our very first story this evening, sacked CID boss Bryce Odro says he was not given any opportunity by the police administration to respond to alleged petitions on his conduct before his dismissal. Reacting to allegations made by Asin Central MP Ken Ejapong that he was meddling in land guard issues while in office, he said his ousting was a raw deal handed him by politicians. He spoke with Komla Kluche.
A deeply upset former senior police officer battling a proceed on leave order. He agreed to a television interview, but recordings from his back as his face was emotionally telling. Unable to take the shock, he battles the decision to proceed on leave.
I felt that they did not treat me fairly, more so when I wasn't even given the opportunity to respond to those allegations and complaints that the claim had been made against me.
Handed a raw deal?
I think so. I think that I was not treated fairly, and I believe that also amounts to being dealt with improperly.
He's alleged to be aiding land guards.
It's outrageous because I don't know the land guards he's talking of. And I sit at the headquarters, I sit there the whole day, meeting people, looking into cases, giving directives and so on and so forth. So how do I meet the land guards? At one stage, he said I did party for land guards. The day or some few days after I had been handed the position of Director General, I did party for land guards. And when I heard, I asked, does it make sense?
The decision to oust him, he believes, is politically motivated. The Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service came under fire a few weeks ago when musician A+ alleged the two deputy chiefs of staff were embroiled in corruption, an allegation re-echoed by Asin Central MP Kennedy Ejapong. Why did you or the CID, for that matter, not invite Kennedy Ejapong the same way you had invited A+ to come and state his side of the story?
You know, I was telling you that I cannot be a judge in my own case. The tantrums, the allegations, the lambasting all were directed to me. So it would be like me sitting in my own case and then giving directions. That is why I told the IGP, maybe they could have referred it to some other institution. It could be the police or the same, but the IGP could have constituted a team to look into the allegations. But those are verbal allegations, verbal complaints they claim have been made against me, because I had never cited any written complaint against me. And whoever those accusers were, I don't know.
Bryce Odro up until he's been asked to proceed on leave, was the Director General of CID of the Ghana Police Service, Komla Kluche. TV3 News, Accra.
That's that exclusive with the immediate past CID boss. There's a lot more on this in our subsequent bulletins here on TV3. But the police have invited leaders of the Kumasi Youth Association who claim to have locked the Kumasi office of the Daily Guide newspaper. Their action, they indicated, was in protest over a publication by the newspaper which alleged that the Asante Otumfuo II had been involved in money laundering.
Workers of the Kumasi office of the Daily Guide were stranded Wednesday morning after the group locked up its offices, threatening not to allow it to be opened until the paper retracts the story and apologized to Otumfuo II and his subjects. Prior to the lockup, there had been statements issued by a group warning the media to be circumspect in their reportage concerning the alleged money laundering case, which was first reported by the UK press. In the report, a staff of Ghana International Bank in the UK got sacked for depositing £350,000 into the Asante Hene's account without going through the necessary procedures for such deposits. The police had to be called in to prevent any further confusion. They later had to break the locks. Though calm has been restored, police personnel are stationed around the premises to provide protection to the workers.
Let me use your medium to ask them to come to us. We will sit down with them and know why they did what.
On to education now, as students of La Presby Senior High School in Accra will soon heave a sigh of relief. A shipping company has promised to assist the school with furniture. This follows TV3's reports that some first-year students improvise desks during classes.
On September 12, TV3 reported the agitation by parents whose wards were posted to La Presbyterian Senior High School. The parents had besieged the school to demand why their wards were being asked to pay 120 cedis for furniture, brooms, cutlasses and other basic items. The headmaster, Samuel Salamat, had explained the school lacked furniture, adding it was only an appeal and not compulsory.
The final years who completed last year broke many of our chairs and tables. So we are short of chairs and tables. If parents can voluntarily contribute something to us, so I will repair the chairs and tables, it will make it easier for their children to have chairs and tables to sit on when we start classes.
But he was later interdicted by the Ghana Education Service for what the service described as breach of the Freeze SHS policy. The Bureau of National Investigation on September 19 was at the school to investigate the matter. Touched by the plight of the school, a shipping company, Magdan, has promised to donate chairs to them. Officials of the company also say they will repair broken chairs as well as assist in the construction of new classroom blocks for the school.
The situation is very bad. I am always helping and I will continue to help without looking at government, without looking at anybody. And I don't think anything would discourage me of helping the youth.
The situation here in La Presec is quite pathetic, that we even find it difficult in our studies because we lack certain facilities that will help in our learning. Example, talking about desks that will help we the students to sit on and go and learn well during classes hours or lesson periods. We don't have it now, so if a study become Herculean, when students have to sit on blocks and other things before they can be able to sit in the classroom for a teacher to teach them well.
Meanwhile, the Education Ministry says it would also provide desks for the school by Friday, October 20. Daniel Opoko has the rest of the story.
More than 607 Form 1 applicants were posted to the La Presbyterian Senior High School. 545 of them have so far reported. The school with inadequate classrooms lack furniture. 64 first-year home economics students have to improvise chairs. These students tell me they constantly have body pains and cannot concentrate during lessons.
And we can't even write properly. The teacher can do his or her best to teach us, but for you to write and concentrate is very difficult.
If I sit, I can't get the relaxation of the chair. Even Krapo said, if I sit down, I have to do like this, or even if I have to rest, I have to do like this. I can't even concentrate on what the teacher is teaching.
This structure as I sit on currently looks very scary and shaky. If you don't take care, there's a possibility of you falling. And even look at the structure that these students have to comply with some of these things, sit on this structure. But who knows exactly what will happen to you after probably your uniform is torn. And there are those who don't even have desks for them to put their books and write. These are the difficulties the first year, those who were part of the FSS policy are really suffering.
The assistant headmistress, Sophia Ampedu, said the Education Ministry had been notified.
Director has come in and they have promised us furniture that it will come. They promised that by the end of this week, Friday, we'll have furniture for them. So we've always assured them that very soon everything will be okay. They shouldn't get so worried.
Under the free SHS program, their students are to be provided with lunch.
The food they are giving us is not fair. When you go to other schools, they give them fried rice with chicken, jollof rice, but we eat 2 days, two times in a week. The only food they've been bringing us is yam with light soup, kotomle, and beans. The beans crapo is like mirror. You see your face in the beans.
On meals, she explained the caterer had been asked to change the menu.
I think she would have to change it. That is what we told her, that she needs to change that food because they don't take it. They don't eat it at all. And it's waste of resources.
We followed up to the Education Ministry.
As we speak now, there are officials from the ministry who has gone out to some of their schools to see what the situation is on the ground, so that we will act as fast as we could to make sure things are in good condition and in order.
We inquired why the students cannot be relocated.
Where they are is very safe, and then the workers are here working day in and night, and then they make sure nothing drops on their kids.
You know that construction sites, you don't allow people to go there. Students are not supposed to be at the construction
Definitely, where they are has been constructed already. The work is not currently being done at where they are. What is needed now is the chairs they will be using to learn.
Meanwhile, the District Assembly has also promised to provide 200 desks to the school.
And from the Accra Academy Senior High School, our reporter Kwabena Edujemfi reports tents have been mounted outside the dining hall to accommodate first-year students for lunch as part of the free SHS program.
It's lunchtime. Previously, day students had no business in the dining hall, but with the introduction of the free senior high school, they were due for lunch. The school's 1,200 capacity dining hall cannot cater for the additional 340 first-year day students.
The numbers are quite large, and for now, we've just had the dining hall expanded, and so you have all the boarders seated in there. But we have canopies raised for the day students, but we intend to increase the number of canopies so that we can have everybody comfortably seated.
I was told government spent 160 pesos on lunch for each student. This came with a menu to guide the school. However, it had to be synchronized with the school's own menu.
Yeah, I was expecting that because I heard on the news that our president said day students will be given free lunch, so I was expecting that.
Though sometimes the quantity is not enough, but for the quality, perfect.
Joining these students have lunch today reminds me so much of my days way back in senior high school. Indeed, this component of the free senior high school policy is real. However, the school is requesting for more staff.
We have requested 4 cooks, 3 pantry hands, in addition to what we have already. We have 5 pantry hands and then 12 cooks.
Under the free senior high school program, students are not supposed to pay any form of fees, and this includes feeding. For TV3, Kwabna Edu Jemfi, Accra.
Well, Kwabna Edu Jemfi there, going back to my alma mater, Accra Academy, reminding me of those days in that dining hall. But David Oforie Champong is the General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers. Mr. Champong, good evening to you. He joins us via phone. I'm grateful for your time this evening. How far have you gone to reinstate the sacked headmaster of La Presec? Because we've just shown evidence of what exists in the school and what he was trying to do, for which he was interdicted.
Well, we don't have power to reinstate him. So we don't have the power. The power to reinstate him is dependent on the management of the Ghana Education Service. I think the issue we raised at that point in time was that we are governed by a certain code of conduct, and that there was disciplinary procedures that ought to be followed if there's an infraction. And that was what we said, so that if any of them had fallen foul of the law that governs our relationship, it was up to the management of the Ghana Education Service to apply the rules. So, for example, there were specific guidelines to heads of institutions concerning the admissions of the first-year students into the SHS1 as part of the implementation process. What we know is that there were specific instructions that, look, when the kids are coming in, even though the schools may have arrangements for PTA levies and so on and so forth, don't let it become a stumbling block in your admission process. Get them into the school. Subsequently, get all the parents of the Form 1 students to come and tell them the PTA arrangements that exist. If that was what was not done, we expected the GES Council to have applied the rule in that manner. Last week, we held a meeting with the GES Council, and we made it known to them. Now, we are not against them punishing people who have gone contrary to our law and procedure. What we were interested in is the fact that these people must be subjected to due process. So as to whether he will be reinstated or whatever, it's an issue that we have raised with the GES Council. So the Council would advise management as to what they ought to do.
Mr. Champong, earlier on with what we saw, at least with the story we played, Mr. Samalat, before his interdiction, made an appeal for voluntary donation from the Form 1 students' parents because of the situation we've just shown on television with students sitting. I'm getting to a point, if you could allow me. So students sitting on makeshift chairs, cement blocks, which endangers their own health, and all these complaints that have come in. Upon that voluntary appeal, he was interdicted. Meanwhile, the problem still persists. Could the GES have gone about it differently than seeing those people who brought up these concerns as saboteurs?
No, you listen to my point. The guidelines to heads of schools, so far as we are concerned, was that do not use the payment of PTA dues or whatever has been agreed between the parents of the school and the Ghana Education Service to be a stumbling block in admitting students. So the issue we had raised was that, was there anything of that sort? Did he say that if you do not pay a levy of 10 cedis agreed by parents of this school, we will not grant you admission? If that was it, then it was an infraction of the regulation. If that is so, subject him to due process. Don't use arbitrary, because you don't use an illegal means to address an illegal problem. So that was what our concern was. Because I don't think that the school, they were not aware that there were not tables and chairs in the school. Because there was a template that was given to all headmasters to indicate the vacancies in their school, then whether they have enough furniture to meet their needs and so on and so forth. So as far as our issue was that if there has been an infraction, Ghana Education Service must use this process to address the matter. That was what our issue was. We're not saying that there were not tables and chairs there. We said that if there was an infraction, use due process to address it. And that is what we articulated before the GS Council last week.
But have any of the other concerns gotten to you as teachers? For example, some of the students complaining about the food they are served, also in places where issues that bothers on the equity and the quality of the free SHS have been brought to the fore. Has it gotten to you as teachers, and what are you doing about it?
You see, the challenge we all have is the fact that we hardly get communication between us and our members who are practicing on the field. So, for example, in the case of La Presby, for example, when this issue erupted, we had to do the follow-up. Even getting them to come to our office to give us the exact position, the exact situation for us to understand. We had to do all the follow-ups. As to the details, we had to go around and find them ourselves. Are you getting the point?
I get
your
point.
So if it's an issue of food and all these things,
right,
and you are there at those that you are the practitioners, and you are not making us aware, how are we able to articulate on it? Because what I know is that there's supposed to be a buffer stock that is supposed to be releasing food to our students as at when the demands are made. So the question is that have these regulations been followed through? Because if you go to the Ministry of Education, they have told them that when supplies are made, they should be made based on request. So when issues of this nature come, we have to interrogate and find out if the headmaster of school A did make a request for maybe 50 bags of rice. Right. If he did, was it met? If it was not met, and the headmaster still has to find food for the kids, and the headmaster goes his own way to arrange for food, and GS says that we are going to sanction him for that, we have every right to defend the headmaster.
Okay.
But if these things are there and you don't do them, then it becomes very difficult for us to do anything but to ask them to use due process.
Right.
But during the process of that, you are given an opportunity to explain yourself.
Okay. Mr. Champon, thank you for your time this evening. I'm grateful. David Ofori Champon, the General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT.
Now, the School Feeding Secretariat says it will make an additional payment for 16 days to caterers by next Friday. Head of Public Relations, Siba Alpha, spoke with our reporter, Evelyn Tengma.
Caterers on Tuesday gave the Gender and Social Protection Ministry 1 week ultimatum to pay them their arrears or they will embark on a demonstration. The aggrieved caterers explained they had been paid for only 7 days out of the 125 days arrears. But Head of Public Relations of the School Feeding Program, Siba Alpha, assured the caterers of part payment next week, Friday.
They are expecting money from government to be able to pay. They will be paying another 16 days next week. But still, we have some arrears to clear.
He added the Secretariat has so far paid the caterers 140 million cedis this year and urged them to exercise restraint as they work to paying them the rest of the money.
We work on a contract basis. They work, we evaluate, we assess, we do all the necessary checks, and then we pay them. This has not started today, and it's not going to end today. So we are appealing to them to bear with us, to cooperate with us. We are working diligently, we are working frantically to ensure that we get the monies due them.
The caterers complained about 8,000 of them have been laid off, but the PRO will not comment on why they had been laid off.
President Akufo-Addo has launched the National Digital Property Addressing System, expected to make it easier to find locations and boost emergency service delivery. It is also to aid government's policies on development and planning.
Designed by a Ghanaian firm, Vocacom, in partnership with Ghana Post, the system is expected to provide an effective means of addressing every location in the country, including underdeveloped parcels of land, using an information technology application app. The system is also expected to reduce costs in doing business.
After downloading the app, all you need to do is to stand in front of your house to activate your address. It doesn't have to be a huge house. Anything which is 5 meters square can have an address. Once you register your property, your information will be stored in the national database that will be managed by Ghana Post. A change of address notification to Ghana Post will be required once you move from your registered address.
President Akufo-Addo said the system will aid government vision for formalizing the economy.
Every land or property
will be assigned a unique identifier. This will facilitate improved ownership data and unique identification of properties and persons. A proper addressing of properties will help ensure efficient delivery of services for economic development. With the ability to identify clearly the location of businesses and persons, we will be empowered with new ways of doing business. The power to access information and the ability to do instant validation and verification will make many business ventures that were previously unviable immediately viable and ultimately sustainable for the future.
The new system is expected to be a major turnaround for a country that was last mapped in 1974 and lacks efficient addressing system, which has become an impediment to development and planning.
Well, let's look at Ghana's commodities now. I'm talking about bauxite, and government would rake $450 million a year from the export of 900 metric tons of bauxite. Revenue accrued from the exports, according to the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, court prevents government from borrowing.
The Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, was speaking at a forum on government's over-reliance on donor support. Currently, available figures indicate that in 2008, donors provided $72 billion to support Ghana on the MDGs. Again, they provided $8.3 billion in the same year to support education. In 2011, an amount of $25 billion was again used to finance Ghana's infrastructure. This, the Vice President described as worrying, and gave an assurance that government would mobilize domestic resources for projects. The Vice President said a bauxite export policy to raise $450 million yearly for the country would be rolled out.
If you are actually able to go through the value chain and add so much more value, even just with the bauxite reserves, we will not need to borrow much money, because the reserves are over 900 million metric tons sitting in the ground, and if we actually do go through the value chain through smelting, you could be making over 350 or $450 billion.
He said government would ensure judicious use of funds to build the confidence of investors and private businesses.
From a policy maker's perspective and the political economy, domestic resource mobilization is more difficult to do than receiving somebody else's tax dollars. The policymaker in many African countries faces the constraint of low incomes, a highly informal economy, low financial intermediation, and the political unpopularity of taxes.
Well, so let's still talk about money. And the Bank of Ghana has given rural and community banks up to the end of December to raise its minimum capital to 1 million cedis. Director in charge of rural community banks, Yao Akopong, says the central bank will sanction any rural and community bank which does not comply. President of Volta chapter of ARB Apex Bank, Simon Nero Davo, described the recent increase in corporate tax rate from 8% to 25% as harsh.
Increasing it from 8% to 25% is something which is killing the rural banks. We are asking for a special dispensation in order to save the RCBs from future problems.
Director in charge of Rural Community Bank, Yao Akopong, said rural and... Right, so we'll be giving you a full version of that particular story, but Unilever Ghana has unveiled a new and improved variety of its washing powder, Omo. The enhanced detergent is expected to give better value to consumers.
Now, to elaborate a bit more on the brand, why don't we invite the Home Care Director for Unilever Ghana and Nigeria.
Omo has become the generic name for washing powder with a proven ability to remove the toughest of stains. The new and improved Omo, with the power of 10 hands, comes with enhanced packaging features, improved perfume, and highly efficient cleaning properties to make washing less stressful. With the new Omo, Unilever Ghana has reinforced its philosophy of allowing children to feel free to play, get dirty, while learning and exploring the world, to enable them develop physical, cognitive concepts, social and language skills. Managing Director of Unilever Ghana, Yose Baton, reiterated the company's resolve in coming up with innovations to delight consumers.
In the space of investment, you should be expecting more. In the space of product innovation, you should be expecting more. And more that would actually make a difference in the economy, but also in the lives of the people. Creating more jobs for Ghana, but also making the product more available locally.
Category Manager Home Care, Unilever Ghana, Francis Afwani, said the new Omo offers the best results in laundry.
This Omo is reformulated, cleaning agent is improved, however, in a way that is not too harsh on people's hands. That is why we say it comes in the power of 10 hands. It simply means that the more cleaning agent or the improved cleaning agent helps you to get your stains out faster than the previous Omo without affecting your skin or your hands, basically. It also has an enriched perfume, if you check with the range of products we have on the market. This is more acceptable towards consumers.
Deputy Trade and Industry Minister Carlos Ahinkra, while commending Unilever Ghana for sustaining its traditional brands, urged the company to take advantage of the ECOWAS trade liberalization to expand its production base.
There's more news on our website, it's 3news.com. That will do for business tonight. My name is Nanikia Mensabrampa. Good evening.
Award-winning Ghanaian musician Yaya says aspiring musicians should aim to be well-rounded in music. Yaya disclosed one of the secrets to her survival in the music industry is her ability to play several musical instruments.
Singing, performing, playing the piano and the guitar. These are things Yaya does and does very well. For up-and-coming artists, Yaya says learning how to do things for yourself is key to your survival and makes the usually difficult transition into the industry a bit easier.
I wasn't born with a guitar in my hand. As an artist, you should be able to learn how to put your thoughts together in like melody or in music form. I'm not saying it's bad to get people to do stuff for you, play for you, because I have a band, but when I have to perform on my own, I can boldly pick a guitar and then do something.
A VGMA 2012 award winner, she commented on the perceived pressure on female artists to settle down.
The ideal Ghanaian woman would get married quite early and then have kids. It's not really about just your career. You know, you have to find the right partner. I mean, if it's going to take you 3 years to do that, please, it's not a race. Take your time, do it right, you know, so that you don't have any regrets later. Personally, I wouldn't want to get married and get divorced.
She also spoke about her new single, Life, which she premiered on October 17, 2017.
Life is basically talking about our life and the challenges we deal with and how life can be quite gruesome to us, but the whole core of the message or the message of the song is no matter how hard life comes at us, in the end things are going to fall in place.
Oh, life.
Certainly an incredible musician. Well, on the international front, a member of Kenya's election commission has resigned just a week before the presidential revote, adding another layer of political turmoil in the East African nation. Rosalind Akombe issued a statement from New York Wednesday saying the planned October 26 revote cannot meet the basic expectations of a credible election.
It's a lot to watch out for in Kenya in the next 8 days, but we'll keep an eye on that as well. But thank you for spending your 60 minutes with us, your News 360. My name is Alfred Okansi.
And I'm Natalie Fort. Remember, there's more news on our website, 3news.com, and news at 10 this evening will simulcast on 3FM 92.7. Next is Tashan. Enjoy your evening.